Everyone, we are going to be taking our knowledge of fractions and decimals and then using that in order to convert to percents as well. So there are 4 different skills here. I've outlined them in different colors that you can hopefully see. But we're going to take decimals and fractions and turn them into percents, and then take percents and then turn them back into fractions and decimals. So let's get started. First, we're going to look at converting decimals to percents. There's really one step to this. So what we have to do is multiply the decimal by 100. Now, you can do that and get the correct answer, or there's actually a cool little trick to that, and that is to move the decimal place to the right and add a percent sign at the end. So the decimal in my example is clearly right before the 2. I'm going to take my decimal and move it 1, 2 places to the right. So I call them little bunny hops just because that's how my brain works. I moved it once, right here, twice, and that gives me my percent of 25. Then I put that percent sign at the end, and there you go. That will be the same answer that you get if you do multiply by 100. Again, whatever strategy works best, please feel free to use it. And that's how you convert decimals to percents. That's it. The next idea that we're going to do is converting percents to decimals. So this is going backwards. This time you have a percent, and in order to make it back into a decimal, you're doing the opposite of what we just talked about. So again, this only has one step, and that's to divide the percent by 100. Again, there's a cool little trick to it. So you can, instead of moving the decimal to the right, you can do the opposite and move it to the left. If there is no decimal written, you can automatically assume that it's at the end, and that's true for any number. So, excuse me, 25% can also be written with a decimal as 25 with that decimal at the end. And now we're going to take our decimal and move it twice to the left. 1, 2. Again, the little bunny hops. And that will give me an answer of 25 hundredths. So again, it's really the opposite of what we just talked about. Converting decimals to percents and percents to decimals, you can use the cool little strategy of moving the decimal either to the left or the right, but just keep track what direction you need to move. If you don't like that strategy, you can of course multiply and divide by 100. Okay, next we have is converting percents to fractions. So step 1, again, very few steps to this, is to put the number of percent as the numerator and 100 as the denominator. Every percent is out of 100. So I have my 25%. I'm going to write that as my numerator. No percent sign in there. We're just leaving that number. And then I'm going to put that over 100. So I have a fraction. Just like any fraction, we always want to simplify. Ignore that bump. We always want to simplify. So 25 over 100, I know that I can divide this, or both numbers, by 25. Again, if you didn't know that offhand, you could divide by 5 and then divide by 5 again. We know we can divide by 5 because the 25 and 100 end in the numbers 5 and 0. But 25 divided by 25 is 1, and 100 divided by 25 is 4. So I am left with my fraction of 1/4. So very similar to how we convert how we convert decimals to fractions, except in this case, all we have to do is put 100 as the denominator instead of trying to figure it out. Last but not least, we have converting fractions to percents. Step 1 is to convert the fraction into a decimal. So remember to divide until the decimal ends or you find a pattern. This is the exact same skill that we just practiced. We are going to take the numerator and put it inside that division box and the denominator on the outside. I know that 100 cannot go into 25 without going over, so I'm going to put my 0 and the decimal at the top. That decimal allows me to add a 0 at the end. 100 can go into 250 2 times without going over. 2 times 100 is 200. Or sorry, 2 times 100 is 200. When I subtract, I'm left with 50. I need to take a 0, bring it down to create the number 500. 100 goes into 500 5 times. And once we subtract, we do not have any remaining numbers. So what I have left is my decimal of 25 hundredths. That was step 1. Next thing we have to do is final step of step 2, which is convert the decimal to a percent by multiplying by 100 or moving the decimal 2 places to the right and putting a percent at the end. So again, something we've already gone over. What we're going to do is take that decimal, bunny hop it twice to the right, leaving us with 25%. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. All of these skills do seem simple, but it can be hard to keep track. So please make sure you have your notes ready and available in order to help you. Good luck.